Everybody, good morning. Roman Polnar coming to you live here from Pillar 6 College Planning, and welcome to this week's episode of Financial Aid Wednesdays. And today we're going to talk about financial aid awards and some of the traps and how to avoid them. Now, this is going to be most helpful. I should say this is going to be helpful for all college bound families, both to you as parents and your students, but it will be especially helpful to families with high school seniors because the college acceptance season is in full swing right now. Now we're recording this. It's Wednesday, February 16th of 2022. And we are in the midst of the college acceptance season because by May 1st, all high school seniors around the US are going to be picking their final college choice. Um, Whatever decision they make will ultimately create a great deal of pride and relief, both for you and for them. But it's probably going to create some amount of pain as well, mostly for you as the parent. And it's the pain of now having to pay for that college choice, right? And the amount of pain that you may feel for the next 4 years, or maybe for the next 25 years, if you're going to be financing, their college with loans, is going to depend entirely on the financial aid offer that you end up accepting. And that's why picking the right financial aid offer is so important because getting enough money from colleges is going to make paying for college easy, or let's say at least easier. And not getting enough money from colleges or not getting any money from colleges is going to make it pretty darn hard. So, on this live cast, I'm going to talk about the biggest traps to avoid when comparing and picking financial aid offers and how to use this time to get more money. So, let's dive right in, shall we? All right, before I get going, for those of you watching live, if you have any questions or if you want me to slow down or speed up, use the comment section on the whatever streaming software you're using and watching this on. And if you're watching the replay, you can do the same. I won't be able to obviously speed up or answer your question live, but I will continue monitoring the comments that come through, and I or a member of my team are going to get back to you. Because remember, we're doing this to help all of you pay for college and make it easier on you and on your kids. And one of the things that we're always trying to do is help you get more free money, the kind of money that you don't have to borrow and later pay back, which is not only going to be good for you and like your future finances, but it's also going to help your kids because they can graduate college on a fresh start without having to repay a bunch of debt and get started in their life, which is pretty cool. If we can help that make that happen. So, anyways, let's get going. So, the first thing I want to mention is that you don't want to delay because, as I've mentioned just a moment ago, the National Decision Day is coming up. May 1st is when your student is going to have to commit to some college. And that's likely when you're going to start writing checks, starting with a deposit check. So, use the next 2.5 months to your advantage. But please don't wait until the last day. Don't wait until middle of April because by then you're going to have far less time, far fewer options. And everybody that's listening to this, who's going to take the next 2.5 months to actually do the things I'm going to tell you, well, they're going to get all the money. And when the college's money well runs dry, if you come to them in the final moment, they might not have any money left over to help, despite the fact that you might need help. So, anyways, don't use or use this time wisely. Don't use it to procrastinate. Don't wait until the last minute and use this time to make colleges compete. Give yourself the power of strength and leverage because at the end of the day, by May 1st, I promise you, as nervous as you are right now, waiting for those college acceptance letters to roll in, and as relieved as you're going to be, and as compelled as you might be to just jump on the first or the best, a first choice that your student might have, just give it some time. Because once the offer is made, they're not going to yank it back. You've got time. And if you use this time well, understand the closer you're going to get to May 1st, the antsier the colleges are going to get because think of them as airplanes. They've got however many seats a college has, just the same way as an airplane. Like they want every single seat to be paid for and occupied. And they know, just like any airline ticket or airline company, same college, they know that they're not going to be able to get full freight from every single flyer or from every single student. They know they're going to lower the tuition or lower the total cost for some of the students. And so by May 1st, or closer you get to May 1st, colleges are going to look at all of the empty seats that they've got, and they're going to want to get as many people in to make sure they don't have any empty seats when the college year starts. So use this time to your advantage and pick the best offer. So I'm going to tell you how to do that because not all financial aid awards were created equal. And what we want you to do is pick the best one. And in order to do that, I want you to become a skeptical buyer. So I'm not going to pick on anybody in particular, but I am going to pick on an industry because I think all of us can relate better. If you've ever bought a new car or a used car, and if you didn't do it online, like remember going into the dealership, you find the car that you like, you sit down with the salesperson, and the deal making starts. You almost never will pay for whatever sticker price they present to you because you know that they want to sell the car and they've got some amount of profit built in, and they can probably work on the numbers and massage them a little to give you a better deal. Now, look, we're living in a pandemic. Like used cars now are like practically more expensive than new cars, but it's not like that with college. All right. Become a skeptical buyer. I want you to look for a good deal and recognize that the first offer that you're going to get will hardly be the best offer. It almost never is because colleges are just trying to see how excited and how committed you might be. And so the first offer they give you is usually not going to be their best offer, and for most colleges it's not the final offer. Yes, some colleges are just starved for money. They just don't have a lot of money in the reserves that they can use to, you know, incentivize you, to push you over the edge to come to their college, to recruit you and your student. But most colleges have got some money in reserves and you can use it. So remember that. One thing I do want to mention is that you're going to start getting financial aid awards or those letters, usually within 1 or 2 weeks of getting the acceptance letters first. Now, because of the pandemic, a lot of times people say, "Well, I didn't get my letter." You know, so what do we do? Well, the thing that you should do is check the college's website. So a lot of times when they send you the acceptance letter, they might also give you instructions on how to log into their portal because they're publishing those financial aid award letters electronically, or check your email. And if you don't know, just call the financial aid office and say, so thanks for accepting us. We're really excited, but we're also kind of anxious to see what our financial aid offer is going to be. So if you don't have it, don't sit and wait for weeks and months because it might be there and it might have gotten lost. Uh, you want to get it in front of you right now. So go and get it if you don't have one. Now, the second thing I want to mention, and this is a really, really big one, is that financial aid award letters are not standardized. Like every single college can package their awards in any way that they want, but they can also call things whatever they want. There is no standard format, there's no standard language, and it's really freaking confusing. So, if the financial aid process wasn't confusing enough already, it continues to be confusing. So, I want to help you clarify it. So, what should a financial aid letter have? Well, it should have two things. Most importantly, really three. The first thing is it's supposed to have the total cost of attendance. That's the COA. And the total cost of attendance should include everything, all the costs of attending 1 year of college. So things like tuition, room and board, books, supplies, technology fees, the meal plan, um, commute plan, like all of the expenses that you'll actually end up incurring if your student goes to that college. The second thing it needs to have is the amount of financial aid that colleges are giving you. And in the best example, the aid that you're being offered is going to be broken up into two sections. The first section should be gift money, free money, things like grants, things like scholarships, things like tuition discounts. It's literally free money that you don't have to borrow and later pay back. The second section of the financial aid award letter should have the self-help money. So that's what the standard language is. They almost never call it that, but self-help are things like loans, things like work study. It's the money that you actually have to borrow, later pay back, or it's the money that your student's going to have to work for. It potentially is also money that you, as the parent, are going to have to borrow. Those are called the plus loans. Well, the challenge is that most financial aid award letters don't line things out quite as neatly. And in the best case, right, if you have the top line, like this is the total cost of sending a student to this college for a year. Below, you can see all of the financial aid that you're being given that you don't have to pay back. Like that's literally free money. Well, as logic would dictate, and the mathematical formula is right there in front of you, and it's not rocket science. You subtract the amount of money that they're giving you from the amount of money that they want you to pay, and then the net bottom line number is going to be your cost. So you know exactly how much you're going to have to come out of pocket to pay for this college. Well, this is where the ideal ends and reality begins, and the ideal or the reality is not ideal. So here's the problem: a lot of colleges will not list their full cost of attendance. So when you look at your financial aid award letter, don't trust whatever number they put there, because a lot of colleges will artificially lower that number. They'll lower the cost of attendance in order to make the financial aid offer look better than it really is. And it's going to be artificially, and it's a trick that makes your cost seem lower. And you say, well, yeah, we can do that. So you sign on the dotted line, and that's where your kid goes. And then lo and behold, you realize there's going to be all these other costs that come up that you didn't know about. And all of a sudden, they're not increasing your financial aid, so the amount that you're going to be expected to pay goes up, and you say, well, that's more than we can afford. That's why most families will scramble over the summer months to look for loans, because they'll realize that, oh my God, I'm getting a bigger bill than I expected. So don't trust whatever cost of attendance the college puts in the award letter. Now, I hate to say this because I love colleges and I love what they do, but you got to be a skeptical buyer. So the way to check is go on the college's website. And if you don't want to go on every single college's website, if you're a student applied and got accepted into multiple, go to collegedata.com. It's if somebody would mind putting that in the chat or in the comment section, I'd appreciate it. It's www.collegedata.com, and you can literally search up the name of any college and go to the third financial tab, and it's going to show you exactly what the total cost for that college is. And you can compare that to the financial aid award letter that you see. So if the numbers are close, well, good. That means that college did a good job and a proper solid for you. They're giving you the real numbers. And if it's off, adjust the letter or adjust the numbers so you know exactly what your bottom line expense is going to be. Now, the second thing that often happens, and colleges use these tricks to get you to sign and commit sooner, is that they'll disguise some of the financial aid as loans. So, for example, a student loan or a parent loan is considered to be financial aid in the eyes of colleges and the government, but it's not really financial aid to you or to your student, right? It doesn't make college any less expensive. It doesn't make it more affordable. In fact, it does the opposite. It makes it more expensive, because not only are you going to have to pay back the amount that you borrow, but you're also going to have to pay back all the interest. So college can cost you double, right? So we don't want to consider loans, especially high interest loans and loans that are hard to get rid of, as financial aid. And so you need to be mindful of that. Unfortunately, a lot of colleges will sort of disguise the names, and they'll do these weird acronyms in the financial aid section of the letter. where it becomes hard to know, like, is this free money that literally reduces our cost, or are these loans? So do your research, like Google those acronyms and see what people say. And more often than not, you're going to be able to discover pretty quickly if this is free money or if these are loans. The other thing you can do is call the school, talk to the financial aid office, and have them explain line by line exactly what you're getting. Because at the end of the day, the only things that lower your price or your cost of sending your kids to college are going to be grants, scholarships, and tuition discounts. Those are the only three things, because that's all free money: scholarships, grants, and tuition discounts. Now, the other thing that colleges will sometimes do that I really, really don't like is that they'll do a little bit of a bait and switch. They'll front load some of the better financial aid for the freshman year, but then they're going to change it out for more loans in the sophomore, junior, and the senior years. Now, most colleges won't do that because they realize that that's just not a cool thing to do and they can get some pretty bad press, but they do it nonetheless. So you want to, I mean, do nothing else, just Google it and say financial aid for fill in the blank of the college name, and then see what people say, because I promise you, colleges that commonly practice this bait and switch, oh, they upset parents. And I'm using that very loosely. Right? I'm saying it very nicely, I should say, right? People get pretty passionate about, the bait and switch. And so they're vocal. And if the college that you're considering does that, you'll discover that pretty quickly because people will write about it and they'll complain. The last thing I'll mention on this before I move on is that some colleges also do something called gapping, in that if you qualify for need-based financial aid, meaning that you're in need of financial assistance. It's not merit financial aid, it's traditional need-based financial aid that you qualify for. Well, some colleges will not give you 100% of the money that you qualify for. And that's usually from colleges that don't have a lot of financial aid money. These are usually in state colleges or state colleges in general. They're funded by the government. They don't have a lot of money. And so they might do something called gapping, where they'll only cover 50% of the amount that you would qualify for, or 60% or 70%, but it doesn't cover 100% of the money that you need and qualify for, therefore leaving a gap. That's called gapping. And so if you're comparing two colleges side by side, let's say they cost the same amount of money, but one college will only give you 60% of the money that you're eligible to receive. So you have a 40% gap that you need to make up. And then college number two meets 100% of the demonstrated need. Obviously, the second college is going to be a better financial aid award. So just be mindful of these things. So check out the cost of attendance. Don't just trust what the letter says. Double check. Be a skeptical buyer. Number two, Google the acronyms that you don't understand. So unless it clearly says that it's a scholarship or a grant or a tuition discount, Google the acronyms because they might be loans. And if they are, ask the college for more free money. Number three, Google the college that you're considering and the kind of financial aid they give. Because what you want to do is find out if they do the bait and switch in later years and front load more free money for the first year just to get you in, but then switch out to loans in later years. And then four, see if colleges have the gap or have gapping in their financial aid award, and look for those that will actually give you upwards of 100% of the money that you qualify for. So let's see, what else? Oh, here's one. Financial aid letters or financial aid award letters are based on old information. Now, for some families, it's based on pretty old, or I should say, outdated information. Because remember, when you completed the financial aid forms, most of them ask you to report your income from 2 years prior. So if your financial situation has changed, remember to use this next month and a half or 2.5 months to let colleges know that your income has changed, so you can actually have them reconsider the amount of money that you need and give you more money. Now, the second part of kind of the outdated, potentially outdated information is that when you recorded your savings, your assets, your investments, that was from the fall. And so, again, if there was a financial change in your life, and say you have fewer financial resources now than you had then, tell colleges about it. And then the third thing is some information never even made it onto the forms. Because remember, the FAFSA, for example, doesn't have a section where you can put in special circumstances. The CSS profile, the other financial aid form, does. And so if you only filled out the FAFSA and the colleges didn't require you to submit anything else, and there's a special circumstance, let them know. This is the time. So don't just look at the letter and assume that colleges have all of the data correct. They don't. They only have what you gave them. And if what you gave them is out of date or what you gave them wasn't complete, tell them about it and they'll adjust your financial aid award. All right, hang on. I'm getting some comments. Rasia, thank you for putting that comment or the link. I really appreciate that. Let's see. I've got a question coming in. Here, let me put that. Wendy, hi. All right, let's see. Should you and can you start to pay back financing right away, even small amounts, if you can, or should you wait until the student finishes, quits, or graduates? Will start to pay back bits save you money? Well, hopefully your student doesn't just quit because then that money would not have given them a really big return on the investment that you're all making. So I hope they finish and graduate. But it's a good question. And I would tell you this. If you're borrowing, right, you're financing your kids' college with loans. Some student loans are subsidized, which means you don't have any interest to pay while they're in college. The government literally pays the interest. And so they're zero interest loans for the time that your kids are in college. And so don't pay those loans because they're not growing in value and they're not growing at all. Wait until they graduate. And then once they get a job and maybe your finances improve because you're not having to pay for college, you can then start paying off those loans. But if you've got high interest loans or unsubsidized loans that are actually growing while they're in college, then yeah, absolutely. Try to make at least those payments to knock out some of the principal or pay the interest so it doesn't continue to get larger, right? Because if your student, let's say, and this is the thing that, I'm going to go on a track, off track for a second, but oftentimes we look at college as, 1 year at a time, right? Maybe it's $25,000 a year. Well, it's not $25,000 a year. It's $100,000. It's a lot of money. And if you're financing a big chunk of that, if you consider how much interest is going to continue to grow, by the time your kids are done paying off that $100,000 debt, it can cost them $250,000. So yes, if you can start paying off interest, please pay off interest. But if it's subsidized, if it's zero interest loan, then wait until they graduate. And by the way, for all of you who are not sure about the different kind of loans, you can go on our website. It's pillar6college.com. And at the very top, you'll see a free download of a student loan checklist. And it's going to help you get the better sense of kind of what loans are interest free, which loans are not, and which loans to avoid. So, Wendy, hope that answered your question. Barbara has a question. How can we figure out if we should apply for financial aid? Well, I think that depends on you. Barbara, I think if you need financial aid to pay for college, then you should apply. Uh, I get a lot of, families that say, gosh, I heard that we make too much money and then we're just not going to qualify. And it's really unfortunate because the government formula, which is what the FAFSA uses, it thinks that an average like middle income household should have enough money to pay for college. And unfortunately, most middle income families cannot pay the current prices of colleges because they've just gone up so incredibly fast. Like colleges are outrageously expensive, but the government formulas haven't really adjusted. And so it just thinks that, average family can pay $50,000 a year, which is not the case. Um, so, anyways, um, apply if you need money because a lot of colleges will give you something called merit awards. This is nothing to do with the financial aid formula, and they'll give you money uh, because you asked. But you can't get it if you don't ask, and you ask by filling out financial aid forms. So hopefully that answers your question too, Barbara. um, if you filled out the FAFSA or the CSS profile, what you want to do right now is go review to make sure that the information that college has got was accurate. I just talked about that a couple of minutes ago because it's based on old information. So review your CSS, review your FAFSA, make sure all of the info is accurate and that college has actually got the right data. And if it's not, fix it, correct it, or call them and let them know that you discovered, some error or a discrepancy or some thing that they're not seeing. And if you have not filled out your FAFSA or the CSS profile, do it right this moment. Okay, don't do it right this moment because it's going to take you a little bit of time, but do it now. And if you want some help in making sure that you do it quickly and correctly, you can put that in the comments below. Say help financial aid. I can reach out to you, or you can go on our website. I've got a very easy to use scheduling system, and you can book a call to help review your financial aid award or to help you fill out the forms correctly so you don't make any mistakes. But you got to move fast because money is already beginning to flow to all of the kids who've been accepted to college and who applied in the fall. And so you want to get into that line for the money as soon as you possibly can because every college has a limit to how much money they set aside every year for financial aid. And there is plenty that they're holding back. And they're holding it back for those families who are going to actually negotiate, which is what I teach every single time. If you need money, negotiate. If the financial aid offer wasn't enough, negotiate. If the college has included too many loans in your financial aid offer, negotiate. There is money. You just got to go and ask. But if you don't ask, they won't give it to you. And if you don't fill out the forms, they won't know that you're in need of financial aid and they won't put together one. So Barbara, I hope that answered your question. Um, the other question I see that came in is, can we pay off sooner to save on the interest rates? Absolutely. Um, I don't think there are any student loans or parent loans that have like a prepayment penalty like you might on a mortgage. So yeah, if you can pay off the interest first, definitely um, do that. And do the same thing that, we get a lot of students who have already graduated that reach out and say like, all right, I've got all this debt. I've got all these loans. And this is one thing that you might remember if you borrowed yourself when you went to school or if you have older kids. But when they take out loans, each loan is like its own little entity, right? So, assuming that your student, let's say, goes to a semester school or a quarter based school, they're going to have 2 to 3 different loans every single year, right? Because you take out a little bit in the spring or a little bit in the fall and times 4. So, kids graduate and they've got like this long list of 6, 10, 12, 20 line items, and each one of them has a different interest rate. It has a different name. It has a different payment schedule. I mean, it's a mess. Just paying off loans is hard enough, but trying to manage like which loan do you pay first or do you pay them all at the same time? It just gets so overwhelming. So, if you can pay off the highest interest loans first, do that. And it's the same thing I tell college graduates. Like, don't worry about like the knocking out the smallest one just because you want to have fewer line items on your spreadsheet. Or don't try to knock out the biggest one just to make yourself feel better. Knock out the ones that are most expensive because they're the ones that are costing you the most. So I'll do the same thing for all of you guys. Pay off interest if you can. All right, let's see if we've got any other questions. By the way, if this is helpful, One way I know this is if you tell me in the comments or if you hit the thumbs up button, because then I can see that it's helping you. So if it's helping you, let me know and share with people that might not know that I'm doing this every week, and they'll come and hopefully learn something that'll help them as well. So let's see if there's anything else. Any other questions? Feel free to put them in the chat. And otherwise, I'm going to start wrapping up. Um, what I will do is I'll give you a couple of resources. I think this might help you. For those of you who completed the FAFSA, what I want you to do is go and verify that the FAFSA was processed correctly. And you do that. I'm going to try to pull up my webpage. So here we go. Hopefully, you can all see that. So, what you do is go to studentaid.gov. It's the same website that you went to complete the FAFSA initially. Here's the website. And you'll look at this magnifying glass, and I want you to search for something called the Student Aid Report or just SAR. Now, the Student Aid Report is the final outcome of your FAFSA. It's literally the summary of all the questions and answers, as well as at the very top, you're going to see your expected family contribution. So click this Student Aid Report, and it's going to tell you how to get it. Like you log into the FAFSA, it's going to tell you exactly how to get it. So use this website. It's studentaid.gov and download the Student Aid Report. And if your EFC looks a little too big, or if you find that you answered some question incorrectly, that's when you want to let colleges know. I'm going to share another website with you that I think you're going to dig, and that is definitely one of my favorite websites and free resource. I recommend families use this all the time when you're searching for colleges, when you're searching for scholarships, or if you need to like verify some of the information about the colleges and their financial aid profile. So this is the homepage. It's absolutely free to use. And let's say you want to verify if the financial aid award letter you're getting is accurate and you want to see what the cost of attendance is. So I'm going to pick University of San Francisco. That's my alma mater. So go to the third tab. It's called Financials right here. At the very top, it's going to tell you what the total cost of attendance is. And below, it's actually going to give you a breakdown. So here you could see what the college costs now in terms of, or what they charge for tuition and fees, room and board, book supplies, and other expenses. All of these things add up to $75,000, which, as I'm looking at this number now, I think it's crazy. Because I think when I went there, it was like $28,000. And even then, I thought it was a crazy amount of money. But 75 just does not seem right. Anyways, I digress. Be that as it may, use this website to check for the total cost of attendance and verify that the financial aid award that you're getting lists the right number. But there's more. Scroll down. And what it's going to show you is the gapping. So remember I talked about the gap? So some colleges don't give 100% of the money that you would actually qualify for at other colleges. Well, here it is. That's the gap. USF meets on average 71% of the demonstrated need. So this college has gapping of 29%. Not great. So Google that and see what you're getting. Now, the other thing you can use this website for is to sort of benchmark if the financial aid award letter you're getting is close to the average, or if it's better than the average, which is awesome. Pat yourself on the back. Still ask them for more money, but at least you know you're getting a really good deal. Or in some cases, you might realize that you're not being given as much as the average person or the average freshman got. That tells you pretty definitively that you want to go back and negotiate harder. So here it is. This shows you that the average financial award for last year's freshman class was $40,639. And then it gives you a breakdown. It says that most of the money was in need-based financial aid. And see, it says gift aid. I don't have a way to circle it, but hopefully you can see my cursor. Need-based gift. That's free money. Scholarships, grants, tuition discounts, and it tells you the average amount was $34,439. So you look at your own personal financial aid award letter and see if you got $34,000 of free money. Again, this is need based. So if you don't have a need, obviously this won't apply. And then it tells you that self help financial aid was equal to $6,323. So self help are things like loans and work study. And then at the bottom, it shows you that this college also gives merit aid. And this has nothing to do with your finances. And that's why I tell families who think they make too much money to qualify for financial aid and they think it's not worth applying. It is. Every single family who needs money for college needs to submit their financial aid forms, even if you don't think you're going to get need based financial aid, because colleges might give you merit scholarships or merit other financial award or just reduce your tuition. Doesn't matter to you what it's called as long as it lowers your out of pocket cost. And so this tells you that 54 students or 7% who had no financial need received $21,000. That's the average, call it tuition discounting, for middle and higher income families who needed help but didn't qualify for traditional need based financial aid. So use this website. It's really cool and it has a ton and ton of data. And then the last thing I'll share with you is a spreadsheet that we use, and you're welcome to have it. You can take a screenshot or you can reach out to us, but you can build something like this in your own. And this is something that we did and we share with our consulting clients, as well as we include this in all of our courses. Actually, let me get rid of this banner. There we go. So it's a manual worksheet. You can do this yourself. Just take a piece of paper or use an Excel spreadsheet. But at the very top for every college, you want to put in the total cost of attendance, the actual cost of attendance, not, whatever they tell you, put the total cost. Then below is your expected family contribution, which you can download from your student aid report. And then here you put the percent of need that a college meets. I just showed you that with USF. They meet 71%. Then you'll immediately be able to calculate, our spreadsheet does it automatically, what you're expecting to receive in financial aid. And then you put in all of the different awards that you're getting line by line, calling it what it is. So here I've got a line for grants and scholarships. That's right here. And that's free money, right? You want to put all the money that you're being offered there. Then you want to put in all the student loans in a separate line. If you're being offered parent loans, which I personally despise, but I recognize some families might still have to take it, that's where it would go. And if you're being offered work study, then you put it there. And you add up the total, right, which is what they're giving you. And what really matters is here. The free money is the only kind of money that's going to lower your out-of-pocket cost. So will the work study, because if your student can work, at the library at their college or helping out at the admissions office or wherever, like they're going to get money that offsets their tuition. That too lowers your actual out-of-pocket bill. But loans don't. So I recognize a lot of you might still have to borrow, just borrow well, but you want to get to this bottom line number, which is what's your out-of-pocket cost? Because the last thing that we want is for you to be surprised with a bigger bill when your kids start, college in the fall. And unfortunately, it happens more often than we would like to see, but it happens. So get the bottom line number right now. If you need more help, call the financial aid office, file a financial aid appeal. And if you want some help doing any of it, let me know. We can help. You can schedule one of the consulting calls by going on our website. It's pillar6college.com. You can also put this in the chat and we'll reach out to you and schedule a personal consult one-on-one and help you get as much money as you need to pay for college. So I'm going to let you go now because you've been with me for quite a while. I don't want to hold you longer than I have to. Hope this has been helpful. Good luck to everybody And I'll talk to you all next Wednesday. If you've got specific questions or topics you want me to cover, put them in the chat. And I'll talk to you all soon. Be well, be healthy, and good luck. Talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.